We often hear about murders and various motives, but the criminal we're going to talk about today is unparalleled. Despite her young age, she puzzled the police and got them to seek the assistance from the FBI. This murderer's character is suspicious that it will ignite your curiosity. For this reason, her case received widespread media attention. Some parts of this story are going to be shocking. Keep that in mind. Before we start with this shocking story, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you prefer these types of videos. This story is unique and has a moral life lesson, so stick till the end of it. Now, let's begin. Our story starts in 2013, specifically on November 12th in Pennsylvania, where Troy LaFerrera's body was found in a horrible condition behind a house, and he was brutally stabbed to death with signs of suffocation with a rope.
Responded to an incident the rear of the 200 block of Catalyst Avenue. At this point, we have a deceased person. He is under investigation. District Attorney's Office has been notified. We've requested the assistance of the state police. Circumstances of death at this point are questionable.
But before we get into the details, let's learn a little bit more about him. Who was Troy? Troy was a 42-year-old man. He lived in Pennsylvania in a neighborhood close to where he was found dead. Troy married his girlfriend Colleen 2 years before he was killed, and they didn't have children. He was killed in a very brutal and tragic way. The investigation began with an inspection of Troy's phone. As known, police tracked down suspects through the last person the victim called. The cops then discovered that Troy was keeping a secret from his wife, a very dangerous secret, and it was most likely related to his death. For years, Troy was obsessed with dating apps and sites and met hundreds of women through these sites. One would say that his wife found out about him that day and decided to get her revenge. It's possible. But until that point, no evidence or fingerprints were found. The murderer left no evidence at the crime scene. Okay, now let's meet a different character, Miranda Barber, an 18-year-old married girl with one child who had recently moved to Pennsylvania. So, what does she have to do with Troy's murder? The day before the murder, the cops found messages on Troy's phone between him and Miranda, indicating the two agreed to meet the next day, which was the day he was murdered. Miranda was called in for questioning, considering she was the last person that contacted Troy. Let's watch the questioning.
It implied that you would be paid to go out with this person. That's what the ad implied.
Did it say sexual? Was it sexually explicit with them at all, or talking to them, messaging them?
We were messaging back and forth, yes.
Okay.
We were just supposed to meet up at Denny's.
Meeting never happened.
Yes.
Being that your phone number is his last call, that puts you pretty close. I'm going to ask you right now a very basic, very simple question.
Okay.
You need to answer either yes or no to.
Okay.
Were you involved in, or do you have any knowledge of the death of that guy, the death of Troy?
No.
Miranda did confess that she was texting Troy, but she had never met him and never knew about his death. She was really furious and started crying and shouting that it wasn't fair to interrogate her that way, and they shouldn't take her stuff, and that she was just a young married girl whose baby was home alone.
We got to take your phone, put it in evidence, and then get a search warrant to go through.
That's not fair to me at all.
That's what we have to do.
I have the right to walk out of here with all of my belongings, which I'm going to do.
Not with your phone. We're going to take your
I'm
phone.
very offended right now.
I'm sorry.
I have
understand?
I have time. I need numbers. I need my phone numbers.
Do you understand we have a job to do?
I did not kill that man. I've never met that man in my life before.
I hope not.
I'm a single. I just got married. You guys are coming in my life. I'm very offended.
Do you understand why we're questioning
Do you understand why I feel the way that I feel?
No. Do you understand why
No.
we're questioning you?
I don't.
Your phone number being the last...
Yes, but I never met up with this man. I want to go home to my baby who is screaming her head off for me.
We're taking your phone. Before
Don't touch
okay.
me.
It's
Don't
not.
touch
Stop.
me. No.
Stop.
No.
It's
I
not
want.
happening.
Stop.
Miranda reacted as described by some people like a child who was grounded by her parents and wanted to take her phone. But that wasn't a solid reason for the cops to stop questioning her. At first glance, it might sound strange that the police were accusing this young girl, who was 18, of what had happened. Unfortunately, the reason is that she was the last person to talk to Troy. The same night, a guy named Elite Barber was brought in for questioning. He was Miranda's husband, who she married 40 days ago, and he wasn't the baby's father. Elite was 22 years old, so he was questioned separately. Let's watch the interrogation with Elite.
Elliot.
Elliot.
Yes.
Okay, Barber, correct? All right. Well, the reason we're here.
Okay. All right, your wife, her number is the last phone number on our victim's cell phone before he dies.
Okay.
All right. And we're trying to figure out why.
All right. I guess full honesty here. I've never heard of him, and I don't know anything about that. But the only thing I know is that what my wife does is meet with someone who's willing to, like, just pay you some money to have a nice conversation and sit down. Doesn't provide sex, anything other than companionship, because that's what they want.
I'm gonna let you know a little something. She was meeting up with our victim.
When? This period?
The night of your birthday.
Really? Well, that's fucked up. Okay. Well, it looks like I'm gonna have a long discussion when I get home.
Should I suspect your wife?
No.
Elite said he didn't know about Troy at all, but he described his wife's job, that she would meet up with strangers and lend them an ear or just chat with them, in exchange for some money, of course. That description was weird in a way, especially since her meeting with Troy coincided with her husband Elite's birthday. She agreed to go out with a complete stranger on her husband's birthday? Implausible. Anyway, the police released Miranda and her husband, and they weren't charged with anything. But 7 hours later, something unexpected happened. Miranda returned to the police station and she admitted that she had murdered Troy in self-defense. She admitted she was the murderer, but noticed that she said in self-defense, and that she usually carries knives in her car just to defend herself. Then she claimed that she asked Elite to help her get rid of the body and use cleaning products to remove the blood from the car. Then they went to dinner to celebrate Elite's birthday.
I saw him. He got in my car. Everything seemed fine, and as soon as I put the car in park, everything just completely flipped upside down. I didn't know what to do. He just attacked me.
What was he doing to you?
One hand was on my throat, while the other hand was touching me down there.
What I'm getting from what you're talking is basically he's being really aggressive, groping you.
Yes, and I do have 3 knives in my car. I usually carry one on me, and I just grabbed it.
What happened after you took the knife?
I stabbed him once, and it didn't do anything. And I stabbed him again, and it didn't do anything. It was still being continued. There was nothing that changed. There's just blood, like a horror scene in my car.
The cops weren't convinced enough. Why would she have 3 knives in her car? Forget that. Why would she stab him 20 times? And where was Elite? How did he let her meet up with a total stranger alone, and on such an important day in their relationship, which was his birthday? Was he okay with it? Miranda's murder appeared to be planned rather than spontaneous as she described it. So the interrogation continued. She was definitely hiding something. 3 days after arresting her, the investigators called Elite in again, and they repeated the interrogation from the beginning. But this time Elite was more reasonable than last time. He admitted that the murder wasn't in self-defense.
Not looking for just companionship. He was looking for sex. She misleadingly sold him sex through texts. But that was never the intention. The whole intention was to go. Yes, I knew she was going to meet him. Yes, I was with her. Yes, that did take part. I'm in the back seat, covered up by a blanket.
Elite said he was an accomplice in the murder because he hid in the back seat under a blanket the whole time. And when Miranda said the password, which was, "Did you see the stars tonight?" Elite popped up behind Troy, wrapped a rope around his neck, and strangled him, giving Miranda the opportunity to stab him to death with the knife. How shocking! How could those 2 youngsters commit such a horrific crime? What was the reason they did that? Killing a stranger. It's like, okay, let's call this man, then kill him. They didn't know or have anything against him. But trust me, this is not the weirdest thing in the story. What's coming is even more horrible. The most pitiful person in this story is Colleen, Troy's wife, who received 2 dreadful news in the same day, finding out that her husband was cheating on her for years, in addition to hearing about his heinous, tragic murder by those 2. I guess you're curious about Miranda and Elite's past, which made them cold-blooded. Back in December 14, 1994, in northern Alaska, Miranda was born. She lived with her parents and older sister. However, at the age of 4, she was sexually assaulted by her uncle, who was later imprisoned for his crime. Additionally, it was reported that her grandfather mistreated his family. At the age of 13, Miranda joined a dangerous satanic cult in Alaska, where she became an important member and fell in love with the cult's leader called Forrest. Despite her involvement, Miranda did not feel safe within the group, and she claimed that some of the cult's members assaulted her. At 16 years old, she had her first and only child. For some reason, she left the child's father and moved to North Carolina. After 8 months, she met Elite there, who, like her, was interested in satanic cults. Both of them were addicted to drugs and alcohol. They later moved to Pennsylvania. 40 days after their marriage, they achieved their goal to murder someone, and their first victim was none other than Troy. But was he really the first? We can't know for sure. After 2 months in prison, Miranda confessed to some serious matters to a reporter, and it came to be that Miranda Barber was a serial killer.
I turned 12. Like, my entire life was upside down when I turned 12.
Why? What happened at 12?
I got into a gang, I started doing drugs, skipped school all the time, and the gang that I was in, it was based around Satanism. I always felt like there was something inside of me. And I know it's bad, and I know that one day it will be completely out of control. This is not the first time.
Are you saying that you have killed before?
Yes.
How many times, Miranda? If you had to take a guess, what would you say?
If I had to take a guess, I know that when I hit 22, I stopped counting.
Miranda said she dropped out of school at a young age because she felt out of place there. She felt like she had an evil side to her that she called Super Miranda. This evil part of her often took control, and she knew it would eventually spiral out of control. The evil only calmed down after she joined a cult and took part in their satanic rituals, such as killing and making offerings to Satan. When the reporter asked about the number of people she killed, she coldly said she stopped counting after 22 victims and continued killing without keeping track. She explained that it all started when the cult leader Forrest forced her to shoot a member who had defected. Can you believe that during her time with the cult between 2008 and 2013, she murdered or helped murdering at least 22 people across several states, such as Alaska, California, Texas, Florida, and even other states, only throughout those few years? Not only that, but Miranda was also in charge of disposing of the victims' bodies in a professional way. She disposed of the victims' limbs in various states and locations to make them more difficult to find, and she was responsible for many unsolved murder and disappearance cases in the USA. Miranda marked the locations of the bodies on a map. She was thrilled and proud telling the cops about that. Miranda described one of the victims, a man they killed in Florida, dismembered his body near the harbor and hid the rest of his body parts in a wrecked car in North Carolina. She also said that her baby's father was a member of the cult, and the cult members killed him after finding out he had gotten her pregnant. Miranda stated that most of their murders happened in Alaska, and that they only targeted bad people. She claimed to have no regrets because all of those they murdered were bad people who didn't deserve to live, like her latest victim, Troy. Miranda said that when she spoke with Troy, she pretended to be a 16-year-old girl, which is why she considered him bad for trying to take advantage of a teenager. Miranda confessed that most of their victims were men. She mentioned killing a girl after finding out she abused children. Miranda believed they all deserved to be killed. The reasons behind her dark actions was unclear. Was it due to a traumatic childhood, involvement in a satanic cult, or an evil spirit within her called Super Miranda? The local police couldn't handle Miranda's case, so they requested help from the FBI to find the bodies. In 2014, Miranda and Elite went on trial for Troy's murder. They were initially sentenced to death for premeditated first-degree murder, but it was later changed to life in prison without parole for second-degree murder, weapons possession, robbery, and assault. Miranda claimed to have killed many people before Troy, but the authorities found no evidence to support her statements. It turned out that the story about a satanic cult, a leader named Forrest, and multiple victims was revealed to be a lie made up by Miranda, and she did not actually murder anyone. She claimed her baby's father was murdered by a cult, but her family revealed that she had a history of fabricating stories and suffered from mental health issues like depression, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. Her husband also had mental health problems. Eventually, Miranda admitted she did not kill 22 people, as she had claimed. The location of the alleged murders garnered significant interest before ultimately shutting down. If Miranda's claim of being a serial killer was accurate, it would have been an exceptionally uncommon occurrence. This is the end of our story. What are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments section. If you like this story, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more suspicious stories and cases like this. I hope you have a good night.